Sorry, I'm like holding my camera because I broke my tripod, so I gotta get another one. So I just want to tell you what's been going on. So a couple weeks ago, it's been like over a month now. Okay, so about a month ago, or I guess it's been like 2-3 months ago, obviously when you get pregnant, your boobs grow, or like in the beginning they do, because that's just like what happens. And I noticed like a bump in my right breast, and I didn't really think much of it because I know like when you get pregnant, like, you know, it's like growing, things are happening, like you just don't think about it because you're like, okay, this is just like part of that. And then it didn't go away, and it was a little bit worrying to me, but I didn't think about it. And then about a month later, a month after I felt it, like initially, I felt it again, and maybe it was like a little bit bigger and it hadn't gone away, which usually if I like feel a lump or a bump on my body, I'll be like, okay, if it's not gone in like a week, I'll worry. But it had been like a month, and I was like, okay. And I looked up some stuff, and my sister, when she was pregnant, she had like a clogged duct, and I remember that, so I like kept that in the back of my mind, like maybe that's what this is. But everything I read said it was like painful, so I was like, well, this isn't painful, it didn't hurt, you couldn't see it from the outside. So I was like, I told Nick about it, and he was like, you know what, just mention it to your doctor, like you're gonna get peace of mind, like I'm sure it's nothing. So I emailed my doctor because that's like the best way to get in contact with them, and I told them about it, and I said what it was, and just a little concerned. I told them it didn't hurt, and they were like, okay, come in, we'll just give it a check, I'm sure it's nothing. So I went in for the appointment, and it was kind of like a weird appointment because they felt it, and they can't tell what things are just by feeling them, like obviously. But it wasn't anything that they could say was pregnancy related for sure. So they were like, you know what, we're gonna actually send you down to get an ultrasound or a mammogram on it, just to make sure that everything's fine. So that I went down and made that appointment for a mammogram. And obviously when you like go down to like it's called mammography or something like that, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but that's how it looks. It's obviously breast cancer is the first thing that comes to your mind when you feel a lump, and so that was scary. I had about a week later, I went in for an ultrasound. You can't get a mammogram when you're pregnant because of the x-ray, and maybe you can, but they did an ultrasound. So they did the ultrasound, and they said, okay, well, we don't know what this is, like we can't tell for sure what it is. So I'm gonna, the ultrasound tech brought in the doctor, and he brought in the doctor. The mammography doctor came in and talked to me about it a little bit and said, you know what, we can't really tell what this is, and we want to be sure, so we're gonna do a biopsy and take a piece from the bump and biopsy it and just make sure that everything's okay. And after that appointment, I was really shaken up because honestly, I didn't expect anything after the ultrasound. I was expecting to get an ultrasound and then them telling me it was a clogged duct or something like that, and they didn't. So I was a little scared. I was actually really scared, and I like called my mom. I was worried. I called Nick. It was just weird because I've never gotten a biopsy before, but then you hear biopsy and you think cancer again. So that was obviously going through my head. And then about a week later, it was like exactly a week later, I went in for the biopsy, not knowing what to expect. They didn't tell me. I knew a needle would be involved and that they would have to, you know, go in there, take it. But Nick went with me, and it was kind of a bigger appointment than I expected. We went there, and I don't know what I was expecting. I kind of thought maybe I would just like sit on an exam table and they would just do it really quickly and Nick could be in there, but they were like, okay, well, we're gonna take her back, she'll be done in an hour if you want to wait, to Nick. And I was like, oh, so he can't come back here? So It was an actual procedure. And to be honest, it was a little painful. So they ultrasounded the spot and then went in with a really big needle and took like a lot of samples from the spot. And I was really sore for like 5 days after. I was really sore. I had this gnarly bruise. It was like, I wish I could show you guys because it was disgusting. But yeah, so they said after that was all done, I like literally cried during that appointment because I was so scared. I've never had anything done like that before, and I know that they know that you're thinking breast cancer, so they can't reassure you. He said, we do these the doctor, he said, we do these biopsies all the time, and most of the time they come back and everything's fine. So that did reassure me. He said, we'll hear back in 1 to 2 weeks. So I really wasn't thinking about it, and 6 days later, out of breath because I'm pregnant, but 6 days later they called. Nick and I were actually at the FAQS because the electricity was out at our house, so we were just like hanging out, like going around different places just to like get out of the house because it was so boring. So we were at the FAQS and I got a phone call and they said, we got your results back from your biopsy. Can you come in today and get the results? So I knew it was going to be like the type of situation where you had to sit down with the doctor and them talk about the results. But them calling me and saying, can you come in today, like literally scared me so bad. I was terrified, and I know it scared Nick too because he told me it did. And afterwards, and we went and we sat there, and my mom and dad were both really worried. I called them and we were all pretty freaked out. But this whole time I kept saying, like, I don't have a bad feeling about this. I feel like I go off of my feelings a lot, so I didn't have a bad feeling. I think it was a lot of me working myself up, but I didn't have a bad feeling. And I just kept saying, you know what, like, oh my god, I almost said the baby's name, but baby is fine and I'm fine and everything's gonna be okay. So they called me back into the doctor called me back and read me the results, and it was it's called like a lactation hyperplasia or something like that. So it is to do with like a milk duct pretty much, or something like that. So everything was fine. This bump is just something that like one of my ducts like grew like larger than a normal one, and that was it. And the doctor repeated to me over and over, I think he said it 4 times, he said it several times, like, this is not breast cancer, everything is fine, you are healthy, your baby is healthy. And he said that to me several times, which I thought was just like exactly what I needed to hear. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, it was scary. But it was pretty scary, and I was really, really relieved when I got the results from that. I know Nick was too. I didn't think anything was really wrong, but all of the things that like led up to this, and then getting the results so soon after, and they said I wouldn't, it scared me. So that is what was going on. But I'm fine, baby girl's fine, and I just have to go in like 6 months and just get a repeat ultrasound on it just to make sure that it didn't grow or anything. So whew, yeah. I didn't want to like tell the vlog or like anyone about it, just because it seemed kind of rude or unsensitive to say that, oh, I might have breast cancer, when deep down I didn't think I did. And also there are women out there who are discovering that they do have it, and it's very scary and it's not something to joke about. So I wanted to have all of the facts before I told you guys. So I hope that I didn't scare any of you guys on Instagram talking about it, but I was very relieved. And that is that story. And I want to thank all of you guys that did reach out to me on Instagram and said that you were praying for me and that you were worried about me and all of that. It did mean a lot, especially when I was like going through it and didn't want to tell, but you guys weren't pushing it or anything. You were just very nice and respectful and said that you were thinking of me, and it meant a lot. So thank you all, and I guess I can end the vlog here. So I will talk to you guys in the next one.